All right, Karlee, you should have access as well.
Is it in presentation mode for everyone? Okay. I'm Karlee Greco, and this is my senior thesis presentation of Lavandula, Salon, and Café. And I just wanted to start out by thanking my external thesis advisor, Angela, for all of your extensive help, along with my advisor, Abby, who could not be here right now, and Stephanie and Rose. A little bit of background on this space that is being created is that it is in hopes to bring together and uplift one another by creating an environment where one comes to get a new look, refresh their style, or make a bold statement, whether it is their nails or their hair, or to just come to get some healthy facts about what they're eating when they're here, and to uplift the way that they look. And the client target is anyone who struggles with anxiety, depression, or body consciousness, and they can be uplifted by the work that we do for them here. And men, women, and children of all ages who are looking to keep up with personal hygiene, and that it's not a trend or like a fad, and it's just to keep up with healthy eating habits. So the problem that we are trying to achieve is when planning a day out to get services such as a haircut and a fresh manicure with the option of a healthy snack, it is a rarity that these two places can be found together or in close proximity. So many times one will sacrifice the option and for one or the other. Also, some believe it becomes a chore to partake in self-grooming activities. So they will typically skip getting their nails done or their hair and let it go for longer than necessary. So the solution to this is catering towards more gender inclusivity by advertising that while it looks nice to have your hair and your nails done and get a healthy snack, it is trendy and also beneficial to the overall practice of good hygiene. This offers a one-stop shop to have all clients' needs met in one place. So the site location and amenities around it is 50 Vanderbilt Motor Parkway, which is located right off of a major parkway, which is Motor Parkway. And it is a 6,000 square foot building right off of a major parkway, which I mentioned before, surrounded by small shopping centers and local restaurants. And the reason that I chose this space was because for me personally, growing up, I did have, I do have an aunt that does nails and my mother does hair. So I was, lucky enough to be surrounded by people who were always willing to do that for me. And I wanted to give this opportunity to other people who would want these same amenities offered to them at right at their fingertips. And also as a confidence boost and tips from professionals, and to feel like your best confidence at all times. So the concept for this is lavender, and it was thought of for this cafe for its natural and neutralistic color palette, also for its multiple purposes once the physical plant is broken down into different parts and segments. Lavender is also used in various different ways to benefit one's health and physical appearance. So the plant is also believed to promote relaxation, treat anxiety and depression. And the color purple, lastly, is commonly associated with creativity, peace, pride, and independence, which all of these I wanted to embody in this cafe and the people who are always in this cafe and salon. So my party model and exploration are parts of a whole. So once this plant is broken down, you'll see that the whole entire plant is known as a spike. And these smaller pieces over here are a corolla, calyx, and a peduncle, which is also a stem. And you'll see these parts throughout my design process and in the furniture pieces and selections throughout the project. So going further, I wanted to plan that this is a well-standard building, focusing primarily on air, water, nourishment, light, and mind. And specifically because I did want to focus on it being smoke-free environment and air filtration because of the chemical use that is going to be used primarily on the second floor of this building, and the water quality and enhanced water filtration systems that will be used also in this building, and nourishment when talking about food and the portion control of the cafe, and the daylight exposure, because on the second floor, most of the space is going to be taken up by the salon, and mine, because this is supposed to be a stress-free environment. So going into design development, the lower level, which is not in scope, is primarily just for extra storage and the laundry space. Then over time, this had changed pretty drastically, but you enter, go to the reception and waiting area, the cafe space, an outdoor space, then come back into the service counter and kitchen prep, storage, maternity space, restroom area, which all are ADA and gender neutral, and the cafe and lounge area. Moving to the second floor, you would go up the elevator or stairs to the hairstylist stations, and going back further, you would go to the overhead dryers and shampoo sinks. And then moving down a small hallway, you would enter the manicure stations, product storage, another ADA restroom, and hair and eye wash sink and pedicure stations. So as you can see, the floor plan did change a bit once entering the 3D process. So on the first level is the reception cafe, service counter, kitchen prep, ADA restroom, maternity space, wellness space, employee break room, lounge area, and outdoor patio. But mainly in scope is the reception, service counter, and outdoor patio. So for this first perspective, I mainly wanted to focus on the reception, or it's more of a check-in point. So when you first enter the building, you would come to this check-in point and see where can I go from here? Because on the second floor, there is another reception desk, which you will see later. And I wanted to focus mainly on the well points of light and air. This is because these light pendants in here can be controlled by the occupant, as well as the recessed cans, and the shades on these windows can be controlled also by the occupant in the space, mostly for maximum daylight capacity. And the air in this space is a no-free zone, and just for the maximum capacity of the best quality of air. And also, as you can see in these planters, are going to be locally sourced herbs that can be grown and used in recipes for the cafe. Moving to the second perspective is if you would walk in and turn to your right, you would see the service counter at a standard level height and ADA height with two different cash wraps, and a glass service counter to see what you would be ordering when you were looking in this desk, and the chalkboard menus that would change on a daily basis to see like what type of lavender recipes that would be used in that daily basis, and see what specials are being offered. And as far as nourishment goes, this is a lavender growing wall to be implemented into recipes, as well as water usage to see the filtration of how water is being used in this cafe. Moving to the outdoor space, you can go through the back doors leading to the outdoor patio with all modular furniture to integrate into, if you want it to be in a smaller group, you could do seating arrangements of 2 to 6, and the umbrellas and as well as these canopy seats also have lighting integration into them. So that implements the lighting, which when it gets duller outside, you can turn these lights on or off depending on the occupant and as well as mind. So if you want to be in a smaller group, which for people with anxiety, they tend to shy away from being around as many people, or if they do feel that they want to be in a larger group, they can also do that as well. So I wanted to make these enlarged floor plans to just point out a few things specifically. When going into this first floor reception area, this does maximize some sunlight with these 3 windows keying around this area, and some floor finish materials and fabric materials that were used in this space, as well as nourishment, because in this first planter box here, as I mentioned before, are some locally sourced herbs that can be used in these recipes that are in this cafe. And moving to the custom millwork service counter that was built for this space. This implements, again, nourishment for the cafe occupants, and as well as some finish plan pieces for this space, talking about the cleanability of the concrete tile and the lavender wall that can be implemented into the recipes. Moving to the elevations of this space, we can see clearly that these booths and this reception desk is at ADA height for accessibility purposes. And these numbers are adjacent with the key plan. So each number is keyed to the direction that you are looking in. So moving to the second one, we are looking at the back of the building out to the patio space here. So this door would lead out to the patio. And just in this custom millwork bar, there is some under storage for extra supplies that would be needed. And this third elevation here is just of the chalk menus and going up the stairs to the second floor. So the second floor has the second reception and waiting area, the hairstylist stations, hair wash and drying stations, product storage and mixing area, and nail technician stations. So this first perspective here has the well encompassments of water and mind, and not shown in this perspective is the washing stations and drying stations, which have the water well standard, which we'll talk about the water filtration, and again, mind, which when you come to a hair stylist or anything to do with your hair, you usually would like to de-stress, and when you come here, you talk to them. They're more like your therapist than your hairstylist. Usually you talk to them mostly about your entire life. Moving to the nail stylist stations of the pedicure chairs and the nail drying table, focusing mainly on air filtration, and again, mind. More air filtration because typically in a pedicure and manicure station setup, they're using a lot of chemicals that can be harmful to the body, more so with nail remover and anything that has to do with a spa treatment. So the air filtration systems on the second floor mainly are a main key focus. And again, mind, because when you're trying to relax and get a pedicure, you really want to de-stress and just relax when you're doing that. And again, just some enlarged floor plans. One of the hair station, I really wanted to focus in on having a more bud or petaled shape around just the hairstylist stations, and also having these pilasters, which I was introduced to by my external advisor, just to absorb sound with acoustical panel on them, and the differentiating floors, because most of the time, people who are getting their hair done, if the stations are too close together, one another, they'll be bumping into each other, or if they have like a moving station with them or a cart, they'll be too close to one another. So I did make sure that each hair station was per COVID guidelines, and also just to make sure that they each did have enough space. They were 7 feet apart from the center of the chair to the next center of the chair. And some materials that were used in this space are all bleach cleanable, just for, again, COVID. And then moving to the next enlarged floor plan, speaking about mine again, and including the water standard for well and all the materials that were used in this space again here. And some elevations for this space, including some ceiling drops in this space reflecting the pedal shape that was on the ground onto the ceiling, to include some drop ceilings for each of these spaces, because especially in more focused areas, we would need some more attention to those spaces, bringing down more light. Again, and these acoustical panel wall bump outs to absorb sound in these more noisy areas. And then here is a elevation of the drying stations for the hairstylists, again, and the mixing room. So when you go to mix product, or you want to get your hair colored, the stylist would go into this back mixing room, so they wouldn't be seen doing this, because sometimes it can appear to be a little bit messy. Then moving to this third elevation, which is keyed right here, another ceiling bump down soffit with a pendant and some recessed cans, again, for that more focused lighting. And then this fourth elevation is of a custom moss wall with little to no maintenance, with repurposed wood from the demolition plan, and a built-in custom seat. So when you're waiting for someone who's getting a manicure or anything like that, you can just hang out and wait here. Thank you. That is my presentation. Any questions or comments?
Great, thank you, Karlee. Good job. I'm going to open it up for critique, and not to put you on the spot, Angela, but we were starting with external advisors. So I'm just going to keep with the way that we were going last night, because it seemed to be a good rhythm.
No problem. Great job, Karlee. I thought your verbal was very well done. It seemed like you practiced and knew your presentation, so that was great. I think my only comments for you were on some of your materials. I'd like to have seen you like tag them, maybe with just like the manufacturer you use and the color, or like the name of the product you use, just something like very simple near all of your materials, and talked about it a little bit. I think that was the only critique I had, though.
Thank you.
Great job.
Great, thank you. Anyone else?
I'll go. Great job. I love the idea as a whole. Like, my Saturday routine is to go get my nails done and then go to the coffee shop and go here and there, get a snack. So I really like the one-stop shop idea. The biggest critique I have is you showed us the floor plan, but you didn't really walk us through the floor plan. So by the time we got to the perspectives, you were kind of walking us through it, but I wasn't really oriented. Like, I didn't really know where we were in relation to the floor plan. So I think it's important to walk people through it from the entry door, and just generally point out where each space is. But, and I had the same comment, the materials you showed them, but didn't really explain them. So I would have liked to know what they were and when they went, because they looked so pretty. So it would have been nice to have a little bit more thorough explanation on that. But I really liked how you included the small but important elements like the gender inclusive restroom and the places for people with anxiety or whatever to hang out separately, and having those different areas in mind. So overall, I think you did a really great job.
Thank you.
I'm going to piggyback a little bit off what Christina said about orienting us. So I thought you had a lot of good detail in your presentation, Karlee. I thought with the enlarged plans, a key plan would have been helpful, because when you showed them, I kind of got a little lost at like which part of the plan we were in, since they were kind of cut out. But what I really liked then was when you used the elevations. I feel like a lot of time people do not include their elevations. They just sort of focus on the use of perspective in their thesis. So I found your elevations really helpful for understanding scale and some of the interesting wall wrapping details, ceiling details that you incorporated. So I'm really glad you had those in there. I also thought something successful that you did was taking a concept, which was somewhat of like a feminine style concept, but not creating a space that felt like it was only meant for women, because you talked about wanting to open it up to, you know, all genders and children and anyone who might want to encounter this space. So I thought like the use of the black on in the cafe and some other sort of neutral or dark tones mixed with a little bit of the detailing from the lavender concept really made it successful and opening it up to any kind of person that might want to come to this space.
Thank you.
I definitely agree with that. I think, you know, the inclusivity was really nice, and it definitely felt like a space that anyone could go to and not feel like they were out of place, which would also lead to anxiety. So I thought that that was good. I really liked the outdoor space that you had. I don't know if you designed the furniture elements, but it would have been nice to almost like see them in a whole to kind of get like a sense of what that piece looked like, since I'm sure you spent a lot of time designing it. And, you know, those kind of personal touches and creations really are nice as a standout, since it's not like you can go and pick it from a website. So it's nice to sometimes call those pieces out. But I thought you did a great job. The verbal presentation was very seamless, and you did great.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Good job, Karlee. I really, I loved that you flipped your 2 floors. I know when we met at midterm and I was cautious, but voiced a concern, and you totally embraced it, and it really came together beautifully. I really enjoyed the perspective views. I felt like you selected the focus areas, and I really got a nice feeling for how you sculpted those spaces, and it worked really well. Good job.
Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else before we let Karlee off the hook and she's done? All right, good job. Thank you, Karlee. Now we're going to go to Kyla.
This set up?
Do you, oh yeah, you have access. Perfect.
Yes.
Good, good.
Is this in presentation mode for everyone? Great. So hi, my name is Kyla Ellis, and this is my senior thesis presentation on Canopy Co-working. Canopy Co-working is a shared office building that was created to bring us back together in the workplace in a safe and healthy way, and also to support small businesses, startups, and independent. It's supposed to be a more reliable space in case of an economic event like many businesses struggled, and it will provide more support with membership fees instead of high rents like in the city. These small businesses won't have to worry about paying those fees to try to stay alive while trying to grow their businesses, and they'll only have to pay these lower membership fees, and they don't have to commit to them for long term. And those membership types range from single day access for traveling workers who are just coming to the area and may not want to work in their hotel room and want like more of a work environment, up to 2 different unlimited access memberships, one including a studio for them to have clients and customers come The site that was chosen for this office building is Waltham, Massachusetts, due to it being right outside of the city. Many businesses during the pandemic either closed and moved out of the city and or have their workers working from home. And this works for some people, but some people don't like working from home and want to transfer back into that community style work environment. And this is very perfect for that because it's close to nearby neighborhoods and people will have to travel just a little bit, but not too far like before. And other amenities that are close by are Boston being 11 miles away. So if things get coming back to a little bit more normal and people start to travel into the city, sometimes it's still close by. A hospital being 2.7 miles away, a shopping center being 0.6 miles away, transportation being 0.3 if they're coming from different areas, including train and bus stations, and the nearest highway exit being 1.9 miles away. Configuring the concept for this design, two aspects that were kept in mind were connectivity and sustainability. Co-working space is meant to be somewhere for connectivity and collaboration and networking. And currently with the pandemic, it's very hard for us to do that altogether. New guidelines such as ventilation and social distancing have really come into play. And sustainability can really adhere to that between implementing health and safety and also helping the environment. And while keeping those two subjects in mind, I wanted to look for something that provided that sustainability and connectivity in an organic way. And that's when I came to the grapevine. And the grapevine has many different parts in my exploration that I found that really resemble connectivity and growth. Through this in the space, I can show growth for those growing businesses. And on the right side of the screen are a couple of sketches that are also in the background of the slides throughout the presentation to show process. And in the upper right corner is my partie exploration. I took a cross section of a grape to kind of see what symmetrical features and colors that I can use throughout the design, as well as a color exploration with 3 different colors of grape. Canopy Co-working also is aiming to be WELL certified building. And these are the 7 categories and the elements that are going to be included throughout the design. The program of the existing building includes 3 floors, and this first floor is more for networking and collaboration. It includes flex spaces for work, community spaces, and a public hall, as well as other amenities. The second floor is going to be more based on focused workspaces, including designated desks, private desks, and more multi-purpose rooms. The multi-purpose rooms will also serve as private offices if wanted. They can rent them out for that or meeting rooms. And the third floor has a smaller footprint, and this includes a library and then an outdoor workspace. I wanted to make implementations to the exterior of the building as well to really create an attraction from the outside. And through this, we use the abundance of natural light really will bring people in because it's a nice work environment and there'll be daylight all throughout the building. So it won't really feel like that dark kind of claustrophobic workspace that was used to back before all of this. And this will be a new implementation. Operable windows, so there'll be proper ventilation leading back to that source of staying a healthy and safe work environment. And then on this roof deck here, it shows some visual interest. Not a lot of workspaces have outdoor areas, and this will really promote sustainability through that and the safe and healthy environment of social distancing. Right now, we're doing a lot of things outdoors, and this will help with that as well. And on the roof deck, there is a garden that provides fresh fruits and vegetables to the kitchen areas and the cafe. And on the exterior of the building, there's also visual identity with signage and this mural on the inside that's visible from outside. And there's some concept integration through vines around the building. Leading to my first floor, on the lower left side, there's a key here. The green arrows in the middle here are showing the main entry and exit into the reception area of the building. The yellow arrows right down here are into the public hall. This is the public side of the building. You can enter through the main entry or these areas right here. And these lead to the studios. Different people can rent these out whenever. And this will be a space for clients and customers to come in. These pink arrows right here are shown over here. And this is the community space. This area will be private during the day and business hours for a dining and kitchen area for the workers, and later in the afternoon and at night, it will be for networking events and community events. These two shaded spaces are the focus spaces that I designed on this floor, including the reception here and this flex workspace, which is a private space on this floor. Leading into my first focal space, which is the reception, the configuration of this space was chosen based off of how people enter and what people go to first when they're entering. So if it is a new member that is just signing up or someone coming in for the studios or a meeting, they'll come up to the reception here and they can be told where to go. And if it's a member, they can enter with easy access to the stairs right here in the front, and a bike storage room, which will promote them riding their bike to work and being a little bit healthier and safe for our environment. And they also provide in this building shower and changing rooms to help kind of promote people to do that. And leading into this main reception area to the check-in, there's a mail room on the left-hand side, so people can pick up their mail or drop it off before they head to their workstation and check in. And then lockers in the main lobby as well, and the elevator for proper access to the second floors and some seating arrangements. Right below this floor plan, there are wall coverings and materials, which I really chose based off the study I did on the grapevine and the different parts and colors. I really wanted to bring those textures and natural organic patterns into the design as well, really showcase a lively and fresh environment. And this purple wall covering right here is around the reception area. This green leafy wallpaper is right in front of the mailroom, and this is done by a local artist in the area. This cork wall covering is made out of sustainable recycled cork, and this is above the seating areas. And then this last one right here is a fabric on the seats in the reception. The lighting selections chosen were also chosen to be very organic. I wanted that concept to lead all the way from the floor to the ceiling in the space, so everything's cohesive and goes together very well. And these also have visual design that leads back to well, and they are dimmable as well as they have occupancy sensors. Right below this is an elevation of the kiosk showing where the customers will check in and select their seating arrangements for the day. And there is biophilia integrated into the center of this. And right below that, there are furniture selections, one being an ottoman right by the lockers, and one being carts that are placed throughout the floor plan with cleaning supplies on them, so people can kind of clean their own area and keep the space healthy and fresh. The elements that are integrated in here for well also are healthy entrance, biophilia integration, water promotion, being a water bubbler located near the bathroom, and accessible design. There's proper spaces for turning circles all around the floor plan, as well as wayfinding throughout the floor plan to help people find their ways to different spaces. This is a perspective of the reception area when you enter. The reception showing different events going on in the building and the check-in centers. And this is another perspective of that same area showing the mailroom in the back and that same check-in area. Leading to the next focal space on this floor, which is the flex space. This is right off of the reception through a little hallway here. And there are there's a computer counter right here, as well as some more lockers closer to the workstations. And as you enter the flex space, there are also these 3 little private call rooms right here. These are meant for people to kind of step in and be adaptive. Throughout this whole space, a lot of the spaces are multi-use. I feel as though that's very important for this type of work environment. So there can be a lot of different integration of activities. But these private call rooms can be used for just a phone call. They have monitors in them for VR if you have to do a Zoom call or something, or they can just be used if you need to take a second out of the work environment. And each of them has a seating arrangement around them. The left and the right ones have countered seating with room for social distancing, as well as this one in the middle has a bench seat. Up this left-hand exterior wall are some breakout groups, and these are separated by curtain walls for social distancing for right now, or just for a little bit more of a private environment in this open space. And down at the bottom are some touchdown spaces, as well as 2 multi-purpose rooms. And these can be used as private offices and rented out that way, or just meeting rooms. Down at the bottom are the wall coverings and materials that will be shown in the perspectives to follow. And these again are chosen due to that exploration of the grapevine and bringing those natural colors and organic kind of patterns and textures to kind of follow the materials found in that exploration. This one being a wall covering, a paint used throughout with low VOCs. This one being a finish right on the seat right there. This one being a concrete flooring used throughout, it's an LVT. This is another finish of one of the furniture items. This one right here is a wall covering and another flooring and then another finish on the chairs. Up at the top here are lighting selections used throughout this space, and all again with that organic shape and texture. And they all again have occupancy sensors and are dimmable. Below that are the furniture selections. These top three are a couch over here and a little small coffee table, and this one being a lounge seat in the touchdown areas. And then these bottom three being more ergonomic seating for the area. In an office building where you're sitting all day and working, you want something to be comfortable and support your posture and kind of health. And then below that are more health well implementations, food storage and production at this cafe area here. And again, the adaptable spaces, everything being able to be used as different areas, daylighting fenestration with the natural lighting in the area as well as the fixed lighting, and sound reducing surfaces. There's many acoustical panels throughout this space. This is a perspective from the end of the hallway and the reception leading into that flex space. And this is a perspective of the seating areas in the flex space. This is going to be a walkthrough of the reception into the flex space. So greeted by the counter and the bike storage room on your right-hand side, you travel into the little check-in area with the mailroom on your left-hand side. People can check in this area or just hang out. This is the lockers with a ceiling detail of baffles on the ceiling. And then turning this corner right here to go down the hallway into the flex space, you meet the bathrooms and the little seating areas right outside of them. Traveling down this hallway, there's the mailroom on your left-hand side and the print equipment room, as well as the two multi-purpose rooms on your right-hand side that can be used for multiple different things. And then the computer counter where you can maybe use some programs that you don't have yourself or send prints over to the print room. Coming into where the private call rooms are surrounded by seating, you see someone taking a phone call in that room, and then the seating areas for workspaces around them. And the cafe located right next to those so people can get a drink or some food from the garden upstairs that will be available for anyone, and some books kind of for storage or use for anyone. Leading over to those breakout spaces separated by the curtain walls, there's plenty of space for social distancing in this area and throughout the building design. And leading over to the touchdown spaces with the custom bench that leads all the way down the wall for some visual interest in the space, creating a focal point with some biofeeling integration as well. And then leading back to the front of the flex space with two more multi-purpose rooms. And as you can see, there's the sanitization carts around the whole space. Leading over to that locker space that is right near the workspaces with some acoustical panels on the wall for detail as well. Leading up to my second floor, which is not in scope of the design, this is the floor that's a little bit more focused and for workspaces that are a little bit quieter. And over to the left-hand side, there's a designated desk area here. This front area is more private desks that will be separated, kind of more private, and then a small flex space. Leading up to the third floor, which has my last focus space on it. This is a smaller footprint, and this has a library and some other utilities like small restrooms and a multi-purpose room. And leading onto the roof deck, there is an outdoor lounge area, some outdoor meeting areas, dining, flex space, and a garden. And this again shows a more focused area of that, an enlarged plan of the outdoor deck, showing those same spots. And the furniture selections for this were really chosen for durability of the seasons. With an outdoor space, you want something that's going to last very well, especially up here in New England. And they all also, again, have that organic sense to them. The well implementations that are really brought out here are exterior active design and physical activity spaces. This outdoor area promotes people to kind of get outside, get some fresh air away from the office. And really just be active. There's spaces for people to work out if they want to, and then those shower and changing rooms really promote them to do that again as well. And there's biophilia integration with the large grass space area and some green walls and flower boxes. And the air quality, especially since it's outdoors, is very strong. The materials for this space are a lot more simple and just integrate those colors into it because I didn't want to take away from the outside space and being in that natural environment. This is a perspective of that grass area. This space will really reduce the heat island effect coming off of the roof, and it will really help the environment around it. This is another perspective of a pergola, which covers some of the seating areas and the dining area and the meeting rooms in back. This is a night perspective, and I just wanted to show this to show that it promotes people to even be out here at night with the nice lighting, and it can be a space that is used all the time. So walking through that roof deck shows the meeting areas, both tall table and some lounge meeting areas. And then that dining area with the covered area for some networking events that can happen out here as well. And that grass area where people are kind of working out, they can do some meditation, yoga up here, and the garden area as well with the covered seating. And then leading around the corner back to the front, some flex spaces where people can do some work on their own or just sit outside, get some fresh air. And then a separation, so if people are trying to focus over here with that green wall, they can focus away from the outdoor lounge area that is out here as well. I wanted to say a special thank you to my exterior advisor, Christina, and my internal advisor, Abby, as well as Stephanie and Rose. You guys all helped me very much and get this pulled together. And then at the bottom of the screen here, there are 3 QR codes that show those focus spaces, and you can scan them with your phone, and you can feel what it's like to be in the space. Thank you, and if you have any questions or comments.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna start with Christina. I'm sure she has a lot to say.
I do. Wow. Yeah, you did it. I don't even know where to start. All right. So it was such a thorough presentation. I think you paid so much attention to the small details, and that's really ultimately what makes or breaks a design. I noted that I really liked how you had the visual identity through your signage and branding on the exterior. You know, as interior designers, you know, often forget about the exterior, but it's just as important. And it really helps shape a company's branding and identity. You know, I've been talking about how in a world where we are working remote, workplaces have to have attractions that draw people to them and make people want to actually leave their home. And I think you succeeded in having these different activities and places to go that makes it interesting besides just a workplace. You flipped through your perspective so quickly that I wanted to see them because I know you worked so hard and they're so beautiful, but especially on the first floor, I feel like it was 1 second and flip and I didn't really get to fully absorb it. So I know you're probably nervous and speeding through it because you have so much to talk about, but I just wanted to point out the detail in them. I think they turned out really fabulous. Your use of materials were very descriptive. I like how you brought up important topics like acoustics and ergonomics, which are important in a workplace. And your walkthroughs were super helpful to understand how the space really feels. Yeah, overall, I think I might be biased, but I think you did a really great job and I'm very proud.
Thank you so much for your help. Yeah.
Of course.
I think you did a very thorough job, like Christina said. I think that all of the elements were very intentional and went back to your concept, which was nice to see that it carried through. Even the background on your slides was a nice little touch. The walkthroughs were really nice to see. And I think that it's definitely a concept that will be necessary. And, you know, I think it'll be interesting to see how this kind of concept continues in the future with places like WeWork and, you know, what they've gone through. But yeah, I think you did a super, super great job. And I also think that the rendered floor plans were really nice. It was very clear to see what we were looking at. So yeah, I think you did a great job. I don't really have many things to critique, I feel like. But great job.
Thank you so much.
I'll add to that. At first, when you started talking about your materials, I was a little bit nervous that there was a lot going on. But then as soon as I saw your perspective, it really came together with the wall covering, the cork wall, the wood, the neutral paint colors. I think it's really beautiful. And in this perspective we're looking at, I love how the flooring spills out of the rooms, you know, welcoming you into them, but very thoughtful, detailed, even down to the sanitizing carts. Everything is just so thoughtful and well designed. I think you did a great job.
Thank you so much.
I'll echo what everyone else said. I think you did a fantastic job, Kyla. It's very, very impressive. Like I started making notes about things at the beginning, like how I liked how you even included the membership type. So like immediately I understood how you expected the space to be used. But that, like, I feel like then I had so many more things I wanted to suggest, like how great your labeling was. I love the integration of the call rooms and the built-in seating. I thought that was so clever. And just the way you used the space, and your perspectives and walkthroughs were such a high quality, and had added detail. So it's like, you know, we weren't walking through a space that felt like a void or, you know, a space that just opened. It was like you made it look like people were working in different ways and we could see how the space was used. And it was just so apparent what your vision was. Yeah, I similarly have little to critique on. Maybe a key plan for your focal areas. And I found one spelling error. That was it. But other than that, it was fantastic, Kyla.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Kyla, I'm just gonna say what everyone else has been saying. I think you did a fantastic job and I really appreciate all of your hard work. Like we can all tell how much you've put into your thesis and it was beautiful, very well done. Your rendering qualities are beautiful. I loved how you talked about and you showed all of your lighting selections, your furniture and your materials and how you talked about that. And just overall your presentation, you were very thorough and it was like seamless. So great job.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Right. Good job, Kyla. You know what I really appreciated was when you started in pre-thesis, you already had a vision and you were able to execute that just seamlessly. So a lot of times you go through a transformation, but your precedent studies, all of the research, you've synthesized it into your final project and you did a really great job. I only have one little tweak that I would ask you to populate your materials from your specifications so that the notation of the product and the mindful materials that's noted on there, or at least when you put it in your portfolio, because that's a separate document that we're not looking at it now for presentation mode, but I think it would just be nice because I know that you put a lot of effort into the selection and making sure that it was appropriate. Now, and I made a notation as well about the perspectives coming to life. I think not only the perspectives, but the 3 focus areas that you opted to select, they really gave us a sense of what kind of community and who's going to be using it. So that's important because sometimes you can pick a focus area that really doesn't speak to the essence of the project just for the sake of doing it, but everything was very cohesive. Good job.
Thank you so much.
Sure. All right. Yay. All right, now we're moving on to Amanda.
No, not that. Um, Can you guys see that?
We can, but it is in we
Okay.
can see the slide deck. Yeah.
Okay, it went to my other screen.
Yep. So you know what you do if you go up to the top, Amanda, and there should be a pull down where view options and you can switch your screens. Or it could be on the bottom under more. Trying to see if I can see it. Those are the two spots.
Let me try this. Can you see it
There
now?
you go.
Okay.
Perfect. Yep.
Show me the screen. That works. All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Amanda Horan, and for my thesis, I redesigned the Worcester Regional Airport. And my external advisor is Erin. So the Worcester Regional Airport is located in Worcester, Massachusetts. It's around 41,550 square foot, and it was built in 1944. It is a regional airport, so it's only a destination, or it's where you start your journey. There's no layovers that happen here, but a lot of the solutions that I've did for my project, I've planned to also be able to implement into larger airports. So I'm going to be designing for LEED for this project, and two things to the exterior I wanted to include was solar panels added to the roof and to create covered parking because there's no covered parking. So one problem with airports is sustainability. So the United States is the worst offender for air travel emissions, and we're slowly starting to improve by changing fuel sources. But there's more to traveling than just being on the airplane. You have to get to the airport, and then there's all the things that are in the airport. And then another problem I'm going to focus on is user-friendly. So there's a lot, airports need to be ADA accessible, but there are so many other people who don't fall under ADA, but also find airports not friendly to them in the design. For instance, like if somebody's blind, a lot of times they just stick them in a wheelchair and bring them up to their gate and plop them down and leave them until they have to board the plane. So I wanted to make it able so if somebody was blind, they would have some sort of way to navigate around on their own, even just a little bit. They should be able to go to the bathroom without needing to ask for help. So why design an airport? I love traveling, and I think I'm one of the weird people who love going to airports and just people watching and sitting there and watching people. But a lot of airports need an update and aren't designed correctly. I've been to so many airports that are just old. Like, for instance, this one was built in 1944 and not much has improved since it was built. So nearby amenities for the Worcester Regional Airport, there's a bus stop at the airport, and there's also a bus stop at Union Station. So if you wanted to take the train in, the commuter rail, you could get on the bus and come to the airport instead of driving. Worcester State University is 2.5 miles away. St. Vincent Hospital's 5 miles away, and there's so many restaurants and hotels all within 5 miles of the airport. My concept is topography. So the city of Worcester is composed of 7 main hills, and so I've decided to use that for my concept. And for my party on the left-hand side, I've decided to look at topographic maps in a different way rather than from the top and see the lines, looking at it from the side and to see the different curves that the hills and valleys make. But I've used both of them in my project in different ways. So the first floor is out of scope. I didn't change much, but I wanted to talk about the amenities that are on the first floor of the airport. There's the entrance. There's an information desk where if somebody had a disability, whether it's a disability that you can see or you can't see, for instance, autism, you could be able to get a lanyard that would let people know, let workers know in the airport that you might need a little bit more time to go through security, or you might need some assistance. So if you look lost, go up and ask if you need some help. There's also the check-in desk for the airlines and the offices behind it. There's a sundry shop that just offers a little bit of food and some necessities, bathrooms, baggage claim, and the car rental. So this is my blocking diagram for the second floor. It's changed since this. This is what it was at midterms. So what it started out is you would come up the stairs, security, quiet rooms. This is the gate area, have a kids area, dog relief area, restrooms, shopping, and then back of house. But it's now since changed. So you come up the stairs. To the left, you enter into security, and behind security is the child play area. And then there's 2 quiet rooms here. The gates are still all along the back. Here's the restrooms with the dog relief area, the family restroom, and then there's nursing rooms in the back of house. So my first focus space was the play area. So I noticed a lot of airports didn't really have a space designated to children. This airport did not. And I wanted to make it interesting. I didn't want to just stick a playground in because that's boring. So I wanted to find something that related to my concept. And so I have this play structure in here that's made out of wooden slats. Sorry. And the good thing about this is that not only children can play on it, but also adults can play. And no matter what your limitations are, you can find some ways to play with this, whether you crawl on it or if you run, jump. It can be used in whatever way you want. There's no right way to use it. Okay. And here's a perspective view of my play area. And also I wanted to do some cool and interesting things for the ceiling for the airport, since if you do something interesting on the floor, nobody's going to see it because there's people walking. So if you're going to do something interesting, you should rather do it towards the top where people can see. So there's custom lighting, which mimics the lines of a topographic map for this. My next space is the gate area. And at the top, I have a picture of what I was thinking of doing at first to copy the topographic lines of a map and make curved seating. But in implementation of that idea, I realized that there wasn't going to be enough seats for everybody. So switched to my second idea where I do have a curved seating, but I also have other types of seating, because usually when you go to an airport, they only have this bench seating here and there's no other options, and that might not be the most comfortable option for somebody. So I not only have the bench seating, but I also have this curved soft seating and power tables for people to charge their phones with stools, and then this fractal seat, which will allow people, if being in a big space can make you feel overwhelmed sometimes. So if you're in there, you kind of feel closed off a little bit, even though you're not. And I wanted to, going off of what I mentioned earlier about people being able to navigate the space on their own, I did implement a tactile flooring that goes around the gate area and also branches out into the bathrooms. So if somebody has a hard time and who is blind, they can navigate feeling, and also people who don't have a lot, people who don't have very good vision can also use it to feel with their feet. Here is a perspective of my gate area. I also did something interesting with the ceiling here and had it stacked, and I have a baffle ceiling. And there's also daylight sensors. So if it's really bright inside, not all of the lights need to be on. And here's another perspective. And I also implemented a green wall on the outside of the bathrooms that I will talk about now. So the restrooms is the third focus space that I'm focusing on. So not only is the restrooms, we have the dog relief area, the 2 restrooms, the family restroom, and then the 2 nursing rooms. So I decided to implement a nursing room since this airport doesn't have one, but also I decided to implement one on both sides because there could be transgender people or single dads trying to raise a child who might want a place to nurse their children in a private area, just like women have. Okay. So the doors for these, oh, let me move my mouse. Okay. The doors for the stalls, the resting area is open. So a lot of places are starting to implement these lights on the top of restrooms to say if they're occupied or not. But if somebody is colorblind, they won't be able to tell the difference of those lights. So this prevents the need for those lights where you can just look at it and see, is the door open or is it not open? Also, another thing I implemented is these Dyson faucets have the faucet and the hand dryer combined so that people don't have to travel with wet hands and get the floor all wet. And in the family restroom, I not only have implemented a child changing table, but also an adult changing table if there is somebody who needs support in that way. Here is a perspective of my restrooms. And I did lower down the one of the countertops for ADA. Thank you. And I do have I'm going to stop sharing for a second. I have a walkthrough I need to pull up. It wouldn't let me stick it in my presentation. All right, so this starts in the gate area in the back. And you just go by seeing all the different seating and the different materials, Bethany. And then you can see the white line on the bottom is the tactile flooring that people can follow. And on the left is the green wall next to the water fountains. Turning into the bathroom. So not only is there a countertop in the front, but there's also one in the back. So if somebody wanted to just look in the mirror, they would have a space instead of taking up space at the sinks. And continuing onwards down the gate. Then we're going to get to the end and arrive at the play area. And that concludes our presentation.
Great. Thank you so much, Amanda. And let's go to your external advisor, Erin.
Hey, so awesome job. Having done an airport for a thesis, I understand that it is challenging to say the least. So first of all, great job in tackling the beast that are airports. I love all of the research that you put into everything, and I love your perspective of wanting to make these kind of uber public spaces the most accessible and comfortable possible. It's a constant struggle that we have in designing airports. So I definitely commend you on the thoughtful inclusiveness of the tactile flooring, which also turns into audible flooring when you have roller bags. So I think that that's, always highly commendable, is having all of those elements that, are there to assist people in making them feel comfortable in airports. And, balance in airports is always tricky. You kind of want it to be a sense of hospitality, but it also needs to be very utilitarian. So I think that you did a good job balancing the two, and still trying to get the concept in there as well. I think a lot of the pieces that you chose, like the ceiling, is good for acoustics. Then it also is good for the hospitality aspect of it as well. I think, if you had 5 more months to, think about this, thinking of how you, like that back wall, like how you might activate that space, if you have a retail offering, or maybe, since it's the 7 Hills, like maybe some history, kind of like super graphic or something like that. But I think, you did an awesome job, and I definitely commend you for, making bold selections and having fun with the projects, and also, making selections that were very thoughtful and responsible. So I'm a gal that loves some practicality, but also fun. So I definitely commend you on that. So great job.
Hey, Amanda. Great job. I think your perspectives were really high quality. And when you showed the view of the playroom, I was really wowed. I loved the ceiling design, and I thought it was super successful. I kind of wish it was less tucked away, like less hidden. It was kind of around the corner and at the end, but I feel like it was a really cool attraction, and everyone has kids. So I feel like it could have been a little bit more front and center and carried throughout, because it was really awesome. Something a little nitpicky on some of your slides, it felt like the title was taking up, it was so large, it was taking up half of your slide, and the floor plan was very small. But we're here to see the floor plan and the design. So I would love to see that sort of reversed and make the floor plan as big as possible and walk us through it. The title can be small and in the corner, just my nitpicky to bother me. But your walkthrough was really helpful, and I thought it was really balanced with your use of materials. And overall, I think you did a great job.
Hi, Amanda. So very nice. I really liked the varied seating options that you came up with to support different types of travelers. I know, depending on how I'm feeling, if I'm traveling in the airport, sometimes I want to sit just sort of independently in one of those high back chairs. or maybe I want to be out in the main space if I'm traveling with friends or something. So I like that there's options depending on, what kind of travel you're experiencing. It's very rare that I have to tell a student that you paid so much amazing attention to the ceiling that I feel like the walls were the afterthought. Usually it's the exact opposite. And I'm always like, pay attention to the ceiling. There's so much you can do with it. So this is a different experience in that I really loved all your ceiling details. But I think just like Erin mentioned, there was a little bit like even just some signage or putting a few things up there, even if it's not something, if the attention to sort of the really interesting architectural details happen in the ceiling, you could keep a more simplified solution on those walls. But I think that was the one thing I noted the most was just, having those be an interesting experience that sort of ties everything together. But again, attention to sort of small, important details was definitely there. I know that in working with you that there was a lot of like thinking about, making sure you picked just the right thing. And I think that in the end solution, we see that sort of how meticulous you were in that process.
Great, good job, Amanda. What a huge transformation from midterm to now. You really have, synthesized. It's so funny because when I saw the floor plans, they looked sparse, and I was thinking, oh, they look like, I don't know, they could have been more, but once you added the perspective and the walkthrough, it made perfect sense because you have a constant flow of a lot of people wayfinding and navigating their way through. And I also echo the playfulness of the children's area. I feel like it could be front and center. What a great distraction, just even if you don't have kids, to watch other kids have that moment and interact with it. So kudos to you. And also, thank you for your thoughtfulness regarding universal design that really, carried through. And I would just encourage you maybe to make notations on that, especially if you're going to put it on your online portfolio on the website. So you articulated things, but maybe another layer of just annotating. So that way, when you're not there to talk about it, everything is documented. Good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Yes, Amanda's done. I just saw a big sigh of relief. And okay, next we're going to go to Lauren. Right, Lauren. Oops.
Okay. So hi, my name is Lauren. My thesis was on a bunker design and pretty much rethinking a luxury bunker. And the name of that bunker is called the Sanctuary. So a little bit of introduction to the Sanctuary. When I was first doing the research for my thesis, I was looking at bunkers, and one thing that pointed out a lot was that a lot of the ones that you see back then during the Cold War, it was very cold, unappealing. A lot of it really wasn't focused on the comfort and technology of and like the health of the actual occupants. It was more or less like, hey, this is a survival shelter. It's going to be there for you to survive, and it's not really going to be something of long term. And looking forward at more newer ones, a lot of them still repeated in that, but there are still a little bit of changes of where comfort did come into play. So that was one reason why I started decided to design this bunker. Was I wanted it to be a more one-of-a-kind bunker that aimed to include amenities that may not be traditionally existing in other bunkers, and also focus on that comfort that for the residents, and making sure that when they enter, they're getting this warm and inviting impression with, this overall luxury look and feel of the space. So for my site location, I chose Atchison Caves. This location is located on 6675 Sherman Road in Atchison, Kansas. This location was actually a cave as well as the Atchison Cave storage facility. But before that, it actually was a pillar limestone mine that did become an actual bunker complex that was for secure US government storage facilities. So it did have a little bit of other hands on there, and it did have some form of military security. So I chose that because bunkers are gonna have to be a high-end security type of space. So using that since that's already incorporated into the space, I decided to choose this, as well as it's also in the heart of the nation. So it is located kind of in the center of the US, where most people would be able to kind of just congregate in one space. So for my concept, I decided to focus on king protea. Now, I was looking around at other nature things because, of course, bunkers are underground. I wanted to incorporate nature into that space. And one of the things that I found during my research was the king protea. It actually is known to symbolize change and transformation, as well as diversity and courage, similar to, I guess you could explain the experiences that, occupants would be coming into this space if this need for a survival bunker was happening. And one thing about the king protea is when I was doing a little bit more research, the way the flower is designed is that there's individual clusters inside the flower itself, and then you have some more surrounding protective floral petals as well as protective leaves. And they actually have a deep-rooted stem. I guess you can compare it to a bunker itself being deeply underground for survival purposes. So this is during my concept exploration. What I ended up doing was I took apart the flower and kind of played it around with the circular pattern, creating this abstract feeling, and using that into my circulation, my furniture layouts like seating, textures and different materials, as well as like lighting and color palette. This was my bubble exploration that I had at the very beginning. I took the initial site and figured out where I wanted these areas to be on the actual plan. And then I kind of was playing around with how I wanted the floor plans of the residence areas to be, where you can see I have a courtyard area in the center localized between all the other necessities, or I also have a basic living room that doesn't have an outdoor private courtyard. Now, this is the overall site plan of the sanctuary. The residential expected capacity for single-use families, which is going to be in this more olive green area, is expected to be around 68 to 85 occupants, with the average household size of 4 to 5 people. The multifamily units, which are going to be a little bit more for bigger size families if they have with friends or a larger community of people, which is down here in this lighter green, that's going to be expected to have 54 to 72 occupants, with the average household size for the double families to have 6 to 8, and then the average household size for the triple family to have 9 to 12. And then the dorm style units, which are all the way over here on the opposite side, is expected to have around 120 to 160 occupants, with the average household size of 3 to 4, but per unit would be 15 to 20. So it would be expected to have an overall expected capacity of 242 to 317 people. So now when you do actually walk into the little area in the site plan of the bunker, there are going to be 2 different entrances. The main one will be coming in from the courtyard area that is right off the actual main road. And you would have the main courtyard area where there would be a bunch of other areas and activities to get the people out and kind of congregating and make a more communal, kind of normalized living. There is also going to be a cafe. You're going to have a pool and spa area, a fitness, some libraries and classrooms, because there are still going to be families and kids there that need to keep up and learning and stuff. So when the survival disaster does pass, they can still be able to continue with their education. And then on both entrances, there is going to be a security and comms area where you're going to have check-ins and check-outs, as well as communication with the government. And then on both sides of the residences, you do have a medical center. They do work in cahoots with each other, but you are on both sides, so one doesn't need to travel from all the way out the little corner, say from a single family, all the way to this medical center. Now, I did want to focus on Fitwell since this is kind of a disaster relief and survival area. Since Fitwell would fit the best with it because it is really looking at the impact of the community health, supporting social equity and like focusing on the community itself and providing healthy, just healthy and well-being for the communities. And one way that I was going to actually incorporate that was some of this technology that would be used within the actual space. These are 2 things that I ended up finding during my research, which was the Sky Factory, Escapes, and Skyview. Now, these are actually digital LED monitors that display pretty much the outside world and the sky and stuff that would be working with circadian rhythm, as well as anyone being able to choose a different outside. So you would still have windows within the space, and you would see that further on in my presentation, where you will be able to have kind of your own view of maybe your own hometown or whatnot, and they would all combine together into one big, 360 view throughout the whole entire house. And then this other one that I have is the Ketra lighting system using the Athena lighting controls. Now this is very similar to the lighting where it works on circadian rhythms, but this is more focusing on the daylight censoring and adjustability, where it's creating those darker and lighter since you don't actually have the natural daylight of the sun. This is going to provide that atmosphere where, it's going to get the cool and warms during sunset or sunrise or evening and noontime. Now, some of my focus spaces that I'll be having in this thesis is my security, the courtyard, and some of the residential areas. Now, moving on to the very first security area, when you do walk in, there is going to be this centralized area of waiting and seating throughout the space where you're going to be dragged along, and go over here to the security desk, which is where you're going to be checked in. You're going to make sure you have all your stuff. You're going to know what room you are if you don't already know it. And kind of just also a touchdown point. If something was to happen, you could always come back to this area and, check out with security, because it is going to have officers and whatnot. So then you would have some other seating here just in case families are getting ready and they're not completely 100% done. Say just like the father and the mother's coming up, you do have the separate area where they can kind of just congregate and not be crowded at the desk. And then you do have, once you go around this little circle, there will be security gates that will be used through like a key card, an RFID chip and whatnot. And then when you do travel out, you will travel into the courtyard area. So this is the security area perspective. You can see there where that security gate's going to be coming into play, where you do need that key card. And then you can see that there are going to be some TV displays that will be kind of displaying whether it's news or information that's happening at the bunker or any kind of news or situations that are happening outside in case this was an active emergency. And then just some circular seating and plants and stuff to bring in that nature. Now this is the courtyard area. This is where you would be entering after you exit the security. This area here is going to be the biggest community space out of the whole entire bunker. You're going to have seating areas with raised platforms of terraforming, where you're going to have a bunch of areas to play around in and kind of just relax and use it as your own space. You also do have the cafe that comes off of it with some actual outdoor seating, just in case you don't want to sit in there and you kind of make it feel like it's more of an outside space. There also is a centralized column area that does have a waterfall feature to still kind of bring in this cool and relaxing feeling, focusing on that wellness of humans and everyone in there. And then there are actually two communal gardens. Now there is an actual hydroponics and aquaponics and storage area in the very, very back of the bunker, which does have the main facility where it would be supplying all the needs and everything that's needed to survive in the bunker. But this community garden is to kind of bring together everyone, as well as being able to pick fresh herbs and stuff that you can keep for your household. Now this is kind of the 3D axon of the courtyard. Since it is such a big space, you really do get a better feel for the way it looks in this. And you can see how you have that community garden, which will have grow lights. All these panels here will have that LED sky view panel, as well as like the little skylights. So technically they look like windows, but when you are underground, they're going to feel like you're just looking out above, even though you are underground. And you can see that sky water feature, as well as the 3 communal like areas. Now this is the perspective of the courtyard area. You can see that garden here, as well as the way the terraformed kind of seating area happens. And you can see that these are some of the selections that I chose for outdoor seating to create that like group of club community and being able to talk together, whether it's just individual families or you're kind of meeting up with friends and everything else. And then most of the wood would be like kind of like a mahogany stain, as well as this kind of gray paver. As well as there is a 360 view of the courtyard space. Now this is going to be the walkthrough for the security and courtyard. I don't know. Okay, now moving on to the residential area. This is one of the focus areas, and I decided to focus more on the single family units, as well as give you a little taste of how the layout would be for the dorm style. So what is expected in this area is, well, like I said earlier, is the household size average of 4 to 5. You do have 4 bedrooms, as well as an optional flex space, which can be turned into a bedroom if you want. So when you do walk in, there is going to be an open floor plan area where you have your living room, your dining room area, as well as a nice sized kitchen. Right when you do walk in, if you look straight ahead, you will have a private yard area similar to the courtyard, but it's more of your individual space where you can have maybe family come over or friends come over into this one individual space instead of having it out in the public. And then as you gradually go around counterclockwise, you do have the laundry area that has some storage for any mechanical or just in general storage for furniture and items. And then you have the master bedroom with a walk-in closet, as well as a master bath and a separate water closet. And then going on, you have the 3 extra bedrooms that are pretty much the same size with the same closet. You do have an extra bathroom here for them to be using, as well as the flex space down here and a powder room right off the entrance. And then this is that dorm style unit here. So this is going to be more of a community style where you have your own living space. You do have a kind of small dining area within your little unit, but the whole entire space would be used in this big residence area where you have that communal kitchen, some seating areas, and a dining area. And then inside one of those rooms, when you walk in, there's that individual kind of like little seating area. You do have a bedroom that could fit 2 twins, or it could just be a single full, a bathroom, and a master bed with a walk-in closet. Now this is the perspective of the living and dining kitchen area for that single family unit. You can see that I brought in a lot of nature and natural colors, still using that texture and everything going back to my concept. I have a lot of leather and wood, natural spaces, kind of still bringing in the overall community you can look through and be able to kind of have a bunch of people come over within that actual bunker space. And then there is also a 360 panoramic for this space. And then this is the master bedroom for that single family unit. You can see that I brought in more of that texture within the nightstand and the dresser, as well as bringing in those colors of like red and oranges within the drapery and the carpets, and still having that wood tone that you see throughout the whole entire space. And then another 360 panorama of the bedroom. And then this is the single family bedroom and living, kitchen, dining walkthrough. And that is my project. Thank you to Rose, Stephanie, Abby, and Jill, who unfortunately cannot be here today, for any help in my questions and comments and everything for my project. Is there any questions or comments? Also, I apologize, the walkthroughs were supposed to have sound. Don't know how to fix that.
Oh, they did.
We did
Oh, they
hear
did have
some.
sound? Oh, they didn't come through mine. Oh, okay, good. Whew, all right.
Go ahead, I'm gonna open it up.
What was that?
Oh, I said I'll open it up for comment and feedback.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I think you did an incredible job. I'm very impressed. If I ever have to live in a bunker, I want to live there. Yeah, I definitely thought I've never seen a bunker project before. So this was really cool. Definitely got some cool like Truman Show vibes, but in a good way. I like how you did kind of the whole master plan and thought about different housing types and how people wanted to live kind of differently in communities, not in communities, with extended family, etc. And then also thinking of, what people would miss if they're living in a bunker and bringing in that kind of outdoor world underground. But extremely thorough. I thought everything was really beautifully put together. And yeah, I think this is a super cool project that you should go show Elon Musk or Richard Branson or someone. But yeah, awesome job. And I like that you thought about like the cave situation versus just like digging some holes in the ground. So great job. And yeah, I think you did a really kind of thought-provoking thesis project. So I'm sure it'll be a eye catcher in a resume and in a portfolio.
Thank you.
I'll just piggyback off of that. I was super excited by this project at midterm. It feels so futuristic, but also attainable at the same time. Whereas like 3 years ago, if you had done this, it wouldn't have felt very realistic and more of like something like in our like, like just imaginative. So I think it's really awesome. The walkthroughs were very helpful since the floor plan is so packed, and the labels in the walkthrough too, I thought was a really nice touch. I also noted that in the living spaces, I liked how it felt more like a shared residence and less like a hotel. It felt very comfortable and like you're meant to be there, not just you're visiting or you're a guest there. But yeah, overall, great job. And I think it's a really cool idea.
Thank you.
I'll comment, Lauren. So it was great to see what came together. So I've been working with you on this project, and it was really excellent seeing the perspectives and the walkthroughs that you created. It really showcased your technical skills, which I knew already existed, and so really showed those like little details. Again, I loved. I mean, it was minor, but it was so important where you show right when you go from the security into the courtyard, that map on the wall, like what a great little detail to put there, and then you put people there looking at it. So we immediately were like, oh yeah, that's there. And this is why it's there. So like little things like that are so important. And I think you incorporated those. I just think all the visuals you chose to include helped us really understand the space. Again, a space that we're not used to seeing. So especially in a project like yours, having really clear visuals is important. And I think you succeeded in that. My only critique might be that I wanted to know a little bit more maybe about your FF&E selections. I mean, I love the sky panels and the lighting stuff, and we've talked about some of that really interesting technology, but even just some of the, seating choices and things like that, you glossed over some of those, and I just wanted to know a little bit more about maybe why some of those selections were the right choice for your project. But overall, I thought things came together really nicely for this.
Thank you.
Bravo, Lauren. Really fun to see. I love that I get to teach pre-thesis and see, everyone's ideas. And when you hit me with the bunker, I've never worked with one before, and I was really shocked at all the precedent studies that you found and what exists. I loved it, but I also was a little scared that there were so many that did exist that we had no idea about. So I agree with, and I think you were able to create it so that it is a realistic vision. You talked about it like it exists. You designed it as it exists, and touched every aspect of it. So congratulations on a job well done. Very thorough.
Thank you.
Sure. I hope I never have to go to a bunker, no offense, but if I do, I'm going to yours. All right. Alexis, last but certainly not least, and we're wrapping up.
Am I in full screen? Can you see? Okay, perfect. Hi, my name is Alexa Zayer. So my project is Curata crescente, which is Latin for growing carrot, and it's growing awareness. And I would like to thank Bethany for being my advisor and helped me throughout this project. So what is my thesis project? So my thesis project is a center providing education about cruelty-free products with a retail space selling these products. It's located in Gulfport, Mississippi. In high school, I never really thought, or younger even, I never really thought about the products we use and how they affect animals. So when I heard about this deeply affected me, and I decided to stop buying stuff from companies that tested on animals. And I did not see the benefit of it at all and the abuse of these animals. So on the left is a graphic of why I chose my location. So in Mississippi, it's ranked the lowest for having not many animal protection laws through the Animal Legal Defense Fund. So why this is a problem is because, well, they don't really have much protection, and some of the reasons being is because of agriculture and farming. A lot of farmers are against this because they think that it will affect their livelihoods. And also, not many people know about this problem in Mississippi. So my design-based research, so I researched 3 areas, one being the Animal Humane Society in Minnesota. What was really interesting about this is it's a shelter plus a classroom for children, and that was very beneficial in not only demonstrating through a young generation how to take care of an animal, but also giving them a chance to see how we affect animals personally. Another one was the PETA Youth Division, and they set up a booth in University of Texas. This was unsuccessful because through the precedent studies, I learned that students felt pressured to change their habits, and it only lasted a couple days. Another one was the Protection for Animals in Canada. It's a booth at the annual Vegan Festival. It was very successful because the community loves it just because it grows awareness. It grows a community as well. Like a lot of people who might not be vegan or might not know much about the subject can come together as a community and learn about this. And on the left is some common words used in their mission statement, like education, compassion, ethics, community, rights, issues. So a little bit about my site. Again, it's located in Gulfport, Mississippi, right off of Highway 49. It was an old warehouse plus some office spaces. So there is 4 buildings that I will use all 4 for this project. And the square footage is 21,700. And at the bottom, you can see some of the occupancies that could take up the space. So here's an existing floor plan. I forgot to mention some of what's near it, some of the amenities near it. So it's of course off a very popular highway. It's off of a coast as well. So a lot of traveling to beaches and other destination vacation areas. It's 65 miles from New Orleans, Louisiana. Again, another very popular vacation destination. And it's 15 minutes from a regional airport. So here's building one, the previous floor plan was demolition. So I'm taking out some of the walls and of course some of the garage doors that came with the warehouse, keeping some of them though. Again, I'm not trying to take out the whole thing, like got the whole thing. I really want to take advantage of some of the existing walls in there already. And then, of course, taking advantage of those garage doors, especially in building 4, where it will be an education and opening up to a higher occupancy. So having that circulation of the big garage doors so people can go in and out with ease. So my concept for this project is gardening, specifically carrots, because when you think about cruelty-free, bunnies come to mind. It's on the logo of all cruelty-free products. And what do bunnies eat? Carrots. But when researching about carrots, I learned how it kind of grows, how it's similar to what I'm trying to do. So again, carrots are known for improving eyesight. And with this project, I want to improve awareness of what's going on in industries that are manufacturers that are using animals for testing. Here are some inspiration images. So I was really drawn to ceilings, and because I have different areas, I really wanted to take advantage of those ceilings, plus they are higher up. They are 10 feet, and I really wanted to take advantage of those ceilings that they do have. So here are some process sketches. So there will be solar panels incorporated throughout the building because, as you could tell in the existing photos, that it's an open space. So the solar panels would be great for that space. Also looking at lighting and shelving in the space. So here's some program schematics, my block diagram, my adjacency matrix. And then here is my bubble diagram through the whole buildings. So for this building, I'm hoping to get well certified. So again, there will be some ADA universal design throughout and sustainable qualities, but for this space, what really drew me to well was because it's not just growing awareness about animals, but how we affect animals as well. And I feel like when you have a space that kind of brings that happiness, the mentality to learn, take in all this knowledge was great for it. So some of them will be water stations throughout. You're going to see some of the ceiling details, community, bringing people together. There's going to be some gardening throughout the space to promote healthy eating and sustainability, air circulation, lighting. So building 1, there are doors either here, or here where the parking lots will be. So wherever you enter, so mainly you would enter through here, and here is a host reception area. And again, an indoor garden area. There's going to be gardens throughout the exterior, but it was important to bring an indoor garden too to promote that healthy air, just promote healthiness throughout the space. And who doesn't like a garden when they walk in? So through here, here are the bathrooms. There's a female, there's a male bathroom, nursing room, some storage, offices. Here's some seating in case there is a speaker coming into the classrooms, or if someone wants a private area to eat lunch or something. So here are the 2 classrooms that are dedicated for children. So this is the first one, which will be one of my focus areas, and this will be the second one. So here's building 2 and 3. So building 2 is this retail space right here. There are either doors on either side where the checkout area will be, and some storage throughout, again with a break room and a gender neutral bathroom. And then here is the changing area. So for looking through the requirements, I saw that one was an area to change, and this promotes people to ride bikes or to be more communities of traveling. So some people, they take public transportation. So it was important if they needed somewhere to change, they could change. And here is a locker/bike storage. And onto building 4, which is the education space. So again, taking advantage of these garage doors right here, having big space for people to walk in and out. and of course promoting that air circulation, natural air coming in. So you'll be greeted by a checkout host area person here, and all throughout the spaces are booth areas that different organizations or companies can come in and rent and talk about how important it is to be cruelty-free and just importance on animal awareness. Over here is a presentation area. And then here are offices and a storage office area for the people renting the booths. Over here, utility area, and again, the bathrooms and more storage. So here are some sketches and images. So I was looking at the curves of the carrots for circulation of the spaces. Again, it's a bigger floor plan, so really looking into that circulation. This is my part T. A lot of these colors I use, like the greens, the oranges, but also keeping a neutral colors in as well. Again, the curves for circulation, how will people travel through the spaces? So again, the sustainability area / the indoor garden, this was important to me because, again, this is mainly a children's area in building 1, where children will learn about animals, but also the importance of the environment and how the environment, animals, and humans all coexist together. So you can see some of the elevations here. As well, this is a perspective of it. So being greeted by the garden not only promotes, sustainable eating, healthier habits, but it just brings a better mood to people. And when people are in a better mood, they retain more information and learn more. So here's the focus 1 area of the classroom. So there is a barcode for the 360 panorama. Again, you would enter through here, and this is an exit door right here. And there's a bunch of seating here. And these are seatings in case they want to sit somewhere or sit as a community. So here's some FF&E. So these are blinds that are automated. A lot of these paints are by Sherwin-Williams because they have low VOCs. And these are interfaces carpets that have recycled material in them. And the furniture right here, this chair and this desk, are from KI. And this was from Lakeshore. I was drawn to this piece at first for children's seating because I wanted something more fun than a traditional seat. But going through, Bethany and Abby, a couple other people pointed out how it might not be the safest option, but I still wanted to add it in anyway. So again, the importance on the ceiling plan for me was because I wanted to bring something cohesive, because again, you're growing, and when you're growing, it goes up. So I wanted to pay attention to that ceiling details. So here is my perspective of the classroom. Big graphics everywhere because you want kids and everyone in the space to retain as much information as they can. Over here is a whiteboard, a glass board where they can write on it, either teachers or the students. And then this is my walkthrough of the classroom. All right, so moving on to the second focus space is my retail space. Again, the panorama barcode is right here. So for the reflective ceiling plans, I found these really cool ceiling panels from Armstrong. They do have some sustainable qualities to them, and they helped to break up the space. Not only do they look nice, but they help break up the sound. And also for wayfinding, you will see in the perspectives how the checkout and the shopping area have different colors for the acoustic ceiling panels. So here again is the retail perspective of it, and some of the FF&E. Again, a lot of the paint colors are from Sherwin-Williams, and these floorings are from Philadelphia Commercial, keeping in mind sanitary. So these have good sanitary qualities to them, easily cleanable. Again, adding big graphics and just labeling things so people know where everything is. Although it is smaller, it's important to keep labels on there. And then this is my retail checkout focus area. This is from Knowles, this wall covering. And again, it does have some recycled material in it, and another paint color from Sherwin-Williams that went along with this custom checkout area. So this is the retail walkthrough. So my third focus area is my education building. Here is the barcode again to see the 360 panorama. So again, the reflected ceiling plan. So again, colors from Sherwin-Williams, but I also have one from Benjamin Moore. This is a wall washing light that is in the presentation room. And these are also, this lighting is from Armstrong, and also this other ceiling panel was from Armstrong as well. So this is a perspective of the education center, again, adding graphics throughout, and again, another glass writing area so people can write on the boards, whoever wants to rent these out. So you could see Cruelty Free Kitty can rent it, or Students Against Cruelty can write, and again, numbers and just wayfinding throughout. So these are floors from Forbo. Forbo is very sanitary. So finding flooring that's sanitary and can be cleaned easily. Again, some Sherwin-Williams paint and a green wall to promote healthy air circulation. And then this is the presentation room. It's important to have the presentation room for more private areas, because again, you want to promote community, but you also want to have some privacy. And this is from Interface, again, recycled content of the carpet. And this is a KI stacking chair. And this is the walkthrough of the education. And a special thank you again to Bethany, Abby, Rose, and Stephanie for everything you've helped me with this year and semester especially. Thank you. Comments, questions?
Hi, Alexis. I think you did a wonderful job. What a huge improvement, especially where we were even when we met last time. It's just amazing to see. Yeah, definitely a great job. I would say a couple things you actually didn't mention were some things I know you put a lot of thought into. For example, the pamphlet or brochure holders that you designed on the columns.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and even, if you want to pull that up.
Yeah.
Right. So I just think a lot of thought went into this. I would say, I know we talked about getting a lot of graphics on there, and that was something that was added in, which I think you did a good job. Maybe some of the colors could be toned down a little bit. But I do think overall it's cohesive, and you did a really great job.
Thank you.
I'll go make a few comments, Alexis. I don't think I've seen much of your project yet. I can't remember if I caught any of it in midterm, but I think it's really interesting. So I was excited to hear all about it. It's just something very unique and somewhat specific, but I think really relevant, especially as so much attention is brought around the importance of the way that we choose products and educating people about that. And I could see, this space being used by many different groups both large groups and small groups where this is their sort of value and passion. And in your Alexis fashion, you used a lot of color, which it just is the way you approach practice. And I thought you had a really fun color palette and used it really well. I did notice the graphics on the wall. I wonder if maybe integrating some more visual graphics instead of just text. You used a lot of quotes, but maybe sort of a combination of that. And I don't know, I would think for me personally, if I'm in a space like this, like images of some of the animals, like would maybe make me think about them more, especially in the kids space. Maybe you had some quotes, but maybe more like, you know, visual images, photographs, or just sort of, you know, creative use of incorporating the animals a little bit more. It could be interesting approach. I appreciate how much you went into your FF&E and explained some of your choices. It was really helpful to understand all of that. And yeah, overall, I think it turned out really nicely.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. It's so funny because I was going to say what Steph said about your color. You've always used since freshman year bold colors, and you're not afraid of it, which, you know, kudos to you. I know she's shaking her head. No, I'm not. And it's great, you know, to have that, especially in this type of space where you want the community and the public to engage and be active. It's really come a long way. And I love that you incorporated all the feedback you received ongoing. I know that you constantly, I think from midterm to now, it's like a totally different project. So congratulations for constantly improving it and modifying and updating it. Good job, Alexis.
Thank you.
All right. Wow, group 2's done. Woohoo! You guys did a great job. Thank you so much to all the external critics. We appreciate, as I said before, your ongoing input, your expertise, and especially the time that you give back to the next generation of designers. I think it was even more important now, where everyone was feeling quite isolated, and to have you as an ongoing support system, I know was really valuable, not only to us as the faculty, but I heard it from the students, how they really enjoyed interacting with each of you. So thank you so much. Please shoot me an email when you get a chance. We have to have our decisions in by 9 o'clock tonight, I was informed by the coordinator, so they're not fooling around. I told them we'll be sending them names, but when you get a moment, that would be really helpful. I'd appreciate it. Anything else? All right, so we get a 45-50-minute dinner break, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Well, not our advisors. We're going to get another group. We'll spare you another 3 hours.
Thank you. Great job, everyone.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, did you? I'm glad you stayed because let me just do this. Yes.